Welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Thursday, April 3rd. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Texas game in 149 days, the game against Michigan in 240 days. If you're planning your next event, make it unforgettable with Grateful Griddle, Columbus's favorite food truck, serving up smash burgers, gourmet sandwiches, and good vibes. Book your catering today at GratefulGriddleOH.com. On today's show, you're going to get to hear from a pair of former five-star recruits who now currently call the Ohio State secondary home. Both very, very impressive guys. One a veteran, that would be Caleb Downs, and one a true freshman, that would be Devin Sanchez. We got a chance to talk to both of those guys a little bit earlier in the week, but I wanted to let you hear from both of them. Both very, very impressive guys, both on and off the field. Thought you guys would enjoy hearing from both of them. Let's start with Caleb Downs. He's been kind of doing some limited reps this spring. Sounds like he's just a little bit banged out, a little bit of a tweak, nothing to be concerned about. It's really much more about he just played a ton last year. He played more snaps than anyone else in the team last year. So they're going to give him a little bit of sort of light work this spring. No reason to rush anything. So what has he been doing this spring, and how's that all been going?
It's been good for a learning aspect of it. Just learning from Coach Patricia, learning about his defense, learning how I might fit in that, and how we're going to play. With the limited reps, it's been good just to see myself in the positions that I have been in and be able to watch people play and coach my teammates, which is always something that I pride myself on, being a good teammate. So I think it's been good.
This is the third year that Caleb Downs has played college football, and it is the third different defensive coordinator he has played under. Played his first year, of course, at Alabama in what's really Nick Saban's defense, then last year in Jim Knowles' defense at Ohio State, and now in Matt Patricia's defense. So what has Patricia brought in for the Buckeyes this season?
A very NFL mindset. He is a really good teacher of the game. He makes everything simple for us to understand like that. And he's done a really good job just being here, being supportive to the new guys that he's just meeting now. And he's done a great job evaluating everybody and seeing what everybody can do and trying to find ways to use everybody.
A little bit of a different position for Caleb Downs. This time last year, he was the new guy on a veteran defense. Now this year, he's one of the very few returning guys on what's going to be a very young defense. So how different are things this spring for him?
It just pushes you into a new role because you're kind of the leader of the group now, and it's a blessing to be in that position and be able to have guys looking up to you, asking you questions. And it's a great feeling to be a part of, to know that I can help develop younger guys that have the opportunity to play this year and next year. So it's an honor to be in the position that I'm in.
A lot of those young guys on the defense, and especially in the secondary. So have any of those young guys in the secondary kind of caught his eye early on?
I think everybody's done a really good job. I've liked a lot what Leroy Roker has done. He's stepped up a lot and had a lot of improvements that I love to see. Jalen and Malik have played extremely well, so just love to watch those two guys continue to compete and continue to grow. And then outside, those guys compete every day. And Miles Lockhart just got his stripe off, and he's been playing really well, so I'm proud of him and what he's been doing. But those are the people that I would say.
Ryan Day mentioned earlier in the spring, just kind of in passing, that Downs had sort of asked them to take down some of the national championship signage inside the building. So, okay, why did he ask him to do that?
I think you have to reset at some point. And I think at some point we had in the weight room, we had national championship stuff up there. And it was the new guys that walked in here, they haven't earned anything. We, as the new 2025-26 season, we haven't earned anything. So we can't really take credit for anything that is up on the banners. We can't take credit for winning anything at this point. We have to compete every day with the mindset of we have to get better to be able to put ourselves in position to have the opportunity to get to that point.
What does Caleb Downs think the message to the team really is with that sign getting taken down?
The lesson learned is you have to continue to work. Last year, every day we continue to stack bricks, like he said, and continue to get better every day. And I think that's why we came out to be where we were. And you can't just think about that from the moment that you get here in January and you start lifting in there. You have to continually push to be exceptional every day. And it's not really helping if you're just looking at stuff from last year every day, and you have to move past it. You have to keep going. But I think the spring has been good for that because it's been able to be okay, we are turning a new leaf. We have different people in here, new faces and everything, and there's different people on the field, and we gotta make plays with who we are.
What are his impressions so far of this 2025 Buckeye team?
Very competitive, I'll say. People are trying to compete and push themselves every day, and it gets chippy sometimes, and that's always a good thing. Just especially on the defense, to have people that are willing to go there, willing to get to that edge, and willing to be physical. I really like to see that. I love to see it, and I think we just need to continue to be more disciplined, continue to work on our skills and everything like that, continue to strive to be better, and we'll be good.
And the last one from Downs, he, of course, was a former 5-star recruit. Now you've got that 5-star recruit, Devin Sanchez, coming in the secondary. So how does he think Devin Sanchez has adapted to college so far?
At the end of the day, even when I got to college, it really doesn't matter about your stars. You walk in and you're at the same type of stature as everybody else. So it doesn't really matter in terms of what you walk in here with. He's done extremely well. He's learned a lot. He's improved a lot from day one to now. So it's been great to watch him develop and watch him get better, and he's made some exceptional plays, and I'll hope to continue to see that.
Now moving on to Devin Sanchez, and he, of course, was one of those guys who enrolled early, as pretty much everyone does, but, technically he should still be in high school, and instead of being in high school, well, he's sometimes going up against Jeremiah Smith in practice. So is that a little bit surreal for him?
Yeah, it was, but, I readied myself my whole senior year. I focused on my senior year, but, I knew what I was coming into when I got here. So, I'm going against guys like J.J. Cornell, top receivers in the country. So, I got to ready myself, up here. It's not about your age. It's about, being a man and, stepping up, because they're going to need me to step up.
The recruiting process has just sort of gotten longer and longer and longer for all these guys over the years. So he's been talking to Tim Walton for years and years and years. So what is it like to finally now be playing for Tim Walton after getting recruited by Tim Walton for so long?
In the recruiting process, it was being developed into, the next best corner. And then, when I finally got here, it was, being coached hard. He coaches hard, very hard. And I feel like if he's not coaching you hard, then, it's kind of over. But, when he's coaching you hard from the jump, that means he wants the best for you. He's not going to let me slack off, especially on the little coverage, things like that. He's always on me. When I watch film, he doesn't show me the good plays. He shows me the bad plays where I'm doing bad and stuff like that. So it's just making myself better and, correcting those things.
The jump from high school to college is a big one, even from a pretty impressive Texas program like he came from. So how much of a leap has it been just mentally for him to prepare for this kind of a jump in competition?
It's been a good mental thing, having to get myself ready to go against guys that are, 20, 21 years old. Being 18, that they don't care about that up here. So, it's developing yourself to have a great mindset early. Having that grown man mindset at 18 years old is real important, because like up here they don't really care about feelings. So it's about, just coming up here, being a man that you think you are, and, having to go out there and, prove it.
So far in his college career, what have been the easiest and hardest things about that transition from high school to college?
The easiest thing, I would say, it's really nothing easy about this. Coming to a top program like this, especially them coming off a national championship, it's really nothing easy. They're pushing for the same thing. They're trying to go back to back. So, we just got to come up here and we got to step up. But the hardest thing, I would say, just having to grow up. Going from high school where, I've been the man there for 3 years. So, coming up here where you start at the bottom again. So, I told my parents this all the time, like, I think my history is repeating itself, because when I went into high school, the high school I went to, we were a powerhouse. So I was at the bottom there and I had to work my way up. And I feel like that's just repeating itself here. I'm at the bottom here. I put myself at the bottom, so I have to work my way up to the top. And so, just going against these guys, they're competing every day. You're not going to get a day off where, receivers just coming out here just BSing. So, you got to be on your P's and Q's all the time.
When you think about what it's possible to do as a true freshman at Ohio State, you sort of expect, well, maybe you get a chance to get on the field a little bit, maybe earn a little bit of a bigger role towards the end of last year. Feels like last year, Jeremiah Smith sort of reset the expectations for what it's possible to do as a true freshman at Ohio State. And obviously, cornerback and wide receiver are different positions with different requirements and all that kind of stuff. But, seeing what Jeremiah Smith did last year, is that maybe inspiring Devin Sanchez a little bit for this year?
Definitely. Just what he did last year as a true freshman, him being able to play and impact the team like that, obviously I want that for myself. So, I'm going to push myself to that limit, try to be on the field year one. That's my plan. That's the biggest reason I came here, because I have an opportunity to play year one. So me having that opportunity is good, and you know I'm always gonna come out here and compete. Like I said, I'm putting myself at the bottom, so I'm working. I'm gonna work every day like I'm at the bottom, and I gotta get to the top.
What is the most important thing that Devin Sanchez has learned so far in his time at Ohio State?
Competing every day. That's the biggest thing. Having to compete. You know, these guys up here, they take winning and losing to heart. So, you know, my first week up here when we did our competitions, you know, I was winning. Then I got that first loss on my belt, and you know, it kind of opened my eyes because like these guys take it to heart. When they lose, they don't like it. So, you know, I kind of got that now where I don't like losing.
You heard him mention that first loss. How did he handle going through that?
That first loss, you know, it kind of got to me. It was to IGB. You know, he let me hear it. So after that loss, I was like, nah, I can't let this happen no more. Because it's like, now it's not high school where you 17, 16 years old, and if you lose, you lose. Up here, it's not. If you lose, the coaches see that. So, and they're going to see how you respond to it. So I feel like I had to, you know, open my eyes. I had to go in there in the locker room like, yeah, okay, I can't let this happen no more, you know. So I got to grow up, and, you know, these guys are counting on me too. So it's real important that I don't lose.
Sanchez got a little bit of a head start on his Ohio State career when even before he had officially started classes, he was able to sort of travel with the team, go through some practices during that extended college football playoff run. What did he learn from that run?
You know, being real tight with your brothers. You know, they're real tight. You know, they push each other. You know, it's a real brotherhood. They don't let nobody down. They always got each other's back. So, I mean, it's a new team now. So, you know, we got to build that chemistry with each other. You know, just get tight. And I feel like when I was there for that playoff run and I practiced when they were at the national championship, you know, I just got to watch, you know, how guys are, you know, real locked in. They're close with each other. They're not letting nobody slack off. And, you know, I feel like we have the opportunity to do that with this team now.
And finally, in an era when it seems like everyone's a game player in recruiting even more so than usual, and everyone's turning everything into all sorts of drama and will he and won't he, Devin Sanchez was one of the rare exceptions where he committed. It was drama-free. He never wavered. There was never any stress. There was never any uncertainty. He wasn't a game player. And as a five-star guy who probably could have bumped up his NIL payments in a little bit of way with a little bit of leverage, why not? Why wasn't he a game player when he was getting recruited?
You know, because this is where I felt this was home. You know, I didn't really feel like, you know, staying in Texas was a good thing for me. I didn't feel like that was home for me. Up here, I just felt like it was home. You know, with Coach Walt and Coach Dave, you know, them making me feel important up here. And then, you know, like you could ask Coach Walt how many times I came up here throughout my high school career. I came up here 13 times. So it got to the point where I was knowing guys on the teams. I had their numbers and stuff like that. When I come up here, you know, I don't got to always be with the coaches. I can go chill with some of the guys on the team. So it's just me, you know, knowing where I want to play my college ball at, you know, knowing where I felt like it was home. And then, you know, it was also my parents too, you know, my mom being, you know, feeling safe that, you know, I'm up here and, you know, I'm handling business and not having to worry about me when she goes to sleep.
Well, hope you guys enjoyed that. A couple of very impressive guys in the secondary for Ohio State, and there are plenty more of impressive guys back there as well as there are all across the team. We are going to have plenty to talk about the next couple weeks as we cover the wrap-up of spring football, ending with the spring game on Saturday, April 12th. Be there for all of that. And then, of course, the White House visit on the following Monday on the 14th. Plenty to talk about. And then, of course, heading into recruiting season. So, going to be a lot to talk about. We'll be seeing you all at youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle. We'll have lots of coverage of all of that for you there, as well as at BuckeyeHuddle.com. That'll do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.